pharmacology. It's more than a philosophy, more than a psychology, more than just an ecology, bigger than biology, larger than anthropology, brushes against astrology. That's prophecology.
God bless you. Today we have Dr. Arthur Davidson, and he is a physician. Dr. Davis, tell us what kind of doctor you are.
I'm an anesthesiologist, but I also do some anti-aging medicine, and I treat mental health issues, things like medication-resistant depression, bipolar disease, PTSD, alcohol, substance abuse, and chronic pain where no one else can help you. That's sort of a summary of my practice.
All right, great. Now, we've been coming to you for years, and I mean, you've helped us with the anti-aging. How important is anti-aging for today?
We can remember science can get you to 100 to 110 years in the next 20 to 30 years. However, you have to do your part now. And the cornerstone is diet and exercise and mental health. And those are all three things that can be attained today.
Diet, exercise and mental health. Wow. Professor, what do you think about that? Diet, exercise, and mental health, Dr. Davidson is saying.
You know, I think that's very powerful because once we combine those ingredients, if I could say that, I mean, it brings about wholeness. Because what is a mind without having the body? You know, the body may be healthy, but the mind might not. And the mind might be healthy, but the body might not. So you need those things to bring about wholeness.
Wow. Mental health,
diet
and exercise. Mental health, diet, and exercise. So let's talk for a moment about the pandemic, because that's on a lot of people's mind. When this pandemic happened, COVID-19, I know I was in your office that morning when the news was just starting to come out, and you told us about the ginger, and we were doing the ginger and the cinnamon. And thank you. We introduced it to the church, and we introduced it to them, and people was going out getting roots of ginger and, you know, boiling it in the pot. How did you come to discover that ginger was such a healing component?
Well, you know, it's really just by accident. I mean, there's no substitute for getting vaccinated. Let me say that right now. But ginger has so many healing properties, especially in terms of cancer, the colon, skin, hormones. It does so many things. It's sort of something that's foundational. I believe in people doing juicing, apple, beets, carrots, ABCs, apple, beets, apples, beets, carrots, and then ginger shots throughout the week.
Wait a minute, let me get that. Apple,
ABCs.
honey, right there.
ABCs.
Your ABCs, your apple, beets,
and carrots.
Honey, you don't like beets though.
Yes, I do.
You like beets now?
Because remember, I was always anemic. And one of the things with beets, I would drink that, just get fresh beets and juice it. And I did that for years in my 20s, late 20s and 30s.
Okay, I got it mixed up with okra.
Okra, no, that's a no-no.
So, okra is good for you, Elder Valina.
I thought you said Oprah, sorry.
Okra.
Family loves okra.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad used to love it.
Okay, well, the doctors are prescribing for you okra today.
No, it's apple, beets, and carrots, and ginger.
ABCs.
ABCs.
So apple, beets, carrots, and ginger.
Ginger, that you want to do the little ginger in there, but you want to do the ginger shots. This combination, I'm not going to sit here as a physician and say that there's a cure for cancer. I'd never say that. But people who have it and take this with traditional the traditional standard care of medicine for these diseases, they appear to do better overall. I mean, there's lots of anecdotal cases I can talk about, but again, no cure, but it improves your chance to beat the disease.
Improve your chance. So if people took on ginger shots every day, took on putting apple, beets, and carrots along with going through this pandemic, this can help
Oh my God,
probably
yes.
Build the immune
build
system.
up the immune system.
Absolutely.
How important is our immune system in this kind of pandemic?
Well, if you look at the colon, the Myers patches, which are on the outside of the colon, these are, what am I thinking of? Collections of our immune system. I'm going to guess, I don't remember the medical school number, but probably 60% of your immune system exists around your colon, in these lymph nodes. And the diet, if you get the flu, if you get a cold, if you get an infection, having an immune system that's working at its optimum rate can help you fight off this awful virus.
Wow. Now, talking about the immune system, let's talk for a moment about the importance of vitamin D. And I know you've gone through this with me about vitamin D, and want those of you to listen out here very closely. And I ran across this information some years ago when I was reading a book because it's a course I was taking, and they had did some studies, I believe it was in Harvard, where they was wondering why cancers and certain diseases was running so rampant in African Americans, and come to find out when they tested, they found something common, is that African Americans had low vitamin D, and therefore certain diseases was very aggressive in them. And then I was surprised when I spoke with another physician about what was happening in this pandemic, that it was shocking what they were saying, the data was saying about people that had high levels of vitamin D. They seemingly fared out a little better than those that had low vitamin D that really felt the effects. Tell us, number one, what is vitamin D?
Vitamin D is more of a hormone than a vitamin.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's important in terms of cancer, preventing those hard cancers, the firm ones, which are the ones that are most aggressive. But it's also important in terms of mental health. It's important in terms of colon health. There's a shopping list of things that...
Hold on, you said, you mean vitamin D supports mental health?
Oh, absolutely. If you have low vitamin D, you're more susceptible to depression.
Okay.
Let's talk about numbers.
Okay.
You go to your doctor, and doctors are doing a wonderful job. I'm not critical of anyone, but when they say your vitamin D is normal, and I think 3 is the minimum, or 3, that just means you're not symptomatic. But for optimum health, you have to have your vitamin D between 50 and 80. That's where you want for optimum health. Now, how do you calculate how much vitamin D you need on a daily basis? For every 10 units from like 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, depending how low you are, you take 1,000 units for every 10 units a day to get where you want to be. So if you're 20 and you want to get to 50, you take a minimum of 33,000 a day. If you want to get to 80, which is for optimum health, you'll take 5,000 units a day. That's a rough way of determining how much vitamin D you
Okay,
take
so
a day.
give that calculation again.
Okay.
So if whatever the difference is, if your vitamin D is, if you need to get it up 30 points or 30, or get it up, you take how many units?
Multiply that times 100, and you're there.
Multiplies that by 100.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. Let's give that a hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor.
I mean, that's really good. Give that a hand. I mean, that's really something. Uncle Brad, what do you think about that? Have you ever had your vitamin D checked out?
Recently, I had my vitamin D checked out, and it was in, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know it was in the normal range, but it wasn't high like it should be. It wasn't on that upper end. And so that's why I'm grateful that we were able to get the shot today. so that, because I want my numbers to go up, especially in vitamin D. With this next wave of this pandemic, who knows what's coming? You really have to be prepared.
Yeah, and then y'all are school teachers, so y'all are working in the public.
Working in the schools,
Yes.
and at some point there will be. They haven't mandated everybody to be vaccinated, but I think it's coming because there's
Yes.
no other way to have any kind of consistent protection, and we are still one of the few countries that never shut down the whole country. That's why we're having the issues we're having. We didn't shut down. Like China, they shut down, and they were doing steam in your nose 3 times a day. And that's how they shut it down in their country. But the whole country shut down. We never did.
Yeah, very interesting. So with the vitamin D helps with mental health.
Oh
with
my God,
depression,
yes.
with mental health.
Yep.
It helps with bone density as well.
Yes. Yep.
And it helps with your immune system.
Immune system and cancer.
And cancer.
And cancer.
Yeah, breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancers.
All the solid cancers, the solid tumor cancers.
Then I mean, especially those of us in the northern hemisphere, but population where a lot of African Americans live, how come this is not widely reported? Like the knockers on the door. We need you to get your vitamin D levels.
Never heard this.
Nobody is having this conversation with the
Correct.
community.
Not in our community.
Not in our community.
The thing is, it's not in any communities.
Yeah.
If you don't go to a doctor who has been trained to do this, and I'm not knocking anybody, but if you don't go to a doctor who's trained to do it, he'll say that, you're within the normal range, but not normal for optimum health. And let me just say one more thing about this. The multivitamin, this is the same thing. The minimum amount is designed to prevent disease but not optimal health. The same thing with the multivitamin. You get just enough vitamins to prevent scurvy, beriberi, but not optimum health. We're not
That's the
talking, it's just prevention. Prevention and optimal health are two different things.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
Okay, so we've gotten through this first wave of COVID. The vaccine has happened now. about 13 months later. No, more than 13. We've been in a year and 4 months or so.
Yeah.
Because you were with us in March of 2020, and thank God the whole congregation made it over to the other side of this. But this don't seem to be going away.
Well, the problem is that when we had the opportunity, viruses mutate.
True.
They're going to mutate, and that's what happened. When we had a large group of people who, as it's their right not to take the vaccine, it is their right. This is America. We can't force them to. They are now susceptible to this mutation. And the mutation is 3 times as virulent, and it attacks you, and the symptoms come on a lot faster. And as you were saying earlier, Bishop, it's affecting younger people now.
Yes, it is.
And now we're starting to get that rise again in this group of unvaccinated patients. And it's not. You have a right not to take it, but when you don't take it and you get the disease, now the healthcare workers, they have to take care of you. Now they're going to take care of you, but you know better. And this is the first of disease where healthcare workers are dying.
Wow.
Doing their job. Now there's also. Even if you're vaccinated, you can get it, but you won't be hospitalized and you won't die from it. This is the beauty of being vaccinated.
Since you've been, and we're not going to ask you how old you are because you're not going to tell us anyway.
Absolutely not.
He's not going to tell us.
Who was president?
But is it?
Sorry.
No. Because your father was a doctor as well. And I know your father helped out with my brother's case, which we gotten some good news about that as
really?
well. Yes.
20 years now.
After 20-something years. they got some good news, and they're talking about wanting to settle.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that's
good.
and we had to go back to your father's work. We had to get your father's scribble. We had to get the.
That's right.
His father was. How many generations of doctors have there been in?
Well, my father and his brothers. One of his was a doctor. One is a dentist. No, two were dentists. One was a doctor. And in those days, my aunt, so she's the smartest of all of them. A woman couldn't go to medical school.
Right.
So she she's a professor at Columbia, and they have a small medical clinic named after her. Before that, we had the herbalist for North Carolina was my aunt.
Okay.
So it goes back quite a long way.
Oh, so you're carrying a lot of secret knowledge here, Dr. Davidson.
Oh, no.
That ginger came down through that pipeline. You're going to keep us around for a long time. Is this the worst that you've seen in a pandemic here in America? When you think
Let's put it this: yes. And as a doctor, I've never been exposed to it. The pandemics that struck this country happened before I was born.
Yeah.
And those people aren't around anymore and this is new for everyone.
Yeah.
This was new. If you live in Europe or Africa or not Europe, but one of the underserved countries, you're used to pandemics.
Yeah.
But here, I don't think that we actually thought it could happen to us.
And I think that's what's happened with us as Americans is that, we're Americans, this can't happen to us. That happened to people like over there that don't have, that's not civilized, or people that don't have clean drinking water. And I think that this is like a real wake-up call to us as Americans. It's like, I was looking at, someone sent me something this morning of, and this is coming out of the faith-based community, where people are pretty much, mocking the virus and calling it a lack of faith to get vaccinated and all that kind of stuff. And then they, unfortunately, they had a death in the community.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And, it's like a real wake-up call. Like, we have not brushed against death like other nations have.
No.
And, think about it, there has not been a war on this shore since the Civil War. There hasn't been, rampant disease, starvation here. I mean, we have not seen that here. And I think with this here, I think we're slowly getting the message that there might be something seriously going on here. But when I talked to one funeral director, he said they had the bodies in the funeral home stacked right next to each other.
Oh my God,
They had
yes.
no room for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The morgues, there was no room in the morgues. They were keeping them in refrigerated trucks outside. And we never heard those kind of stories before until now. And then the media kind of shield us from actually seeing those type of things.
But here in New York, it was there. We could walk by Mount Sinai. We could walk by the hospitals. We could go to the hospitals in Queens and see the refrigerator trucks, see the people piled up in there. You go to the hospital, all the cases were canceled. Routine surgery was canceled. It was, it never has this happened before in this country.
It was the first.
And people are polarized. They're making medicine and science something other than science. It could be a political issue. You're right, I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's not about this. This is things that are based on science, both white, black, Asian, Jewish, Republicans, Democrats recognize this is a disease. It has it affects the rich, the poor equally.
Yes.
The black, white, everybody gets it equally. But someone didn't get the message. It's some plot. It's not a plot. It's real.
No,
it's from China. Who cares where it started? It's
right.
here now.
It's here, right. And it's affecting.
Now. Let's not get involved
thousands.
with pointing fingers.
Right. Are you hearing from patients about different new strands that are coming up now, or people that are getting?
Well, I don't see it, but healthcare workers in the hospitals are seeing it now. Mm-hmm. And in those unvaccinated areas of the country, The doctors are getting upset now. They're saying, look, we've got to do something because we're out of beds. Everywhere else it's going away and it's coming out. They're not equipped to handle these type of diseases. If someone really sick comes, they have an ICU, but they transfer you to a central medical center.
True.
Well, those centers are being filled up now. And now we have doctors and nurses or caregivers, people who work who aren't vaccinated and are being exposed to this. This secondary wave it's very serious.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen, we're talking to Dr. Davidson. Now, today you have treated us here with, tell us a little bit about what is the Myers cocktail.
Myers cocktail was, Dr. Myers was in the early 20s and 30s, came up with a combination of vitamins and minerals that could treat a host of medical issues at one time. It's a wonderful platform for adding other things where you can get your vitamin B, C, magnesium, high doses of vitamin C, dexpanthenol, which is good for the hair and the skin.
Oh, wow, is there hope?
But by taking it in, it gives by giving it intravenously, it goes right to the target organs. When you take something orally, you get the second pass effect. It first is metabolized to the liver and then goes out to the bloodstream. That's the beauty of it. We can add alpha lipoic acid, which is amazing
Yes.
for regrowing liver tissue. A lot of documentation, fighting cancer, causing tissue to grow. I can't say enough about alpha lipoic acid.
No, is that
And you can take that also
Intravenously, exactly.
Now, that is what you was talking to me about?
Yes,
Alpha?
yes. I had mentioned to you that you may want to consider incorporating that as well as taking the Myers cocktail because of all the benefits that it has, and it works intercellular. It goes directly to the cells, to the organs that it need, and it's also considered anti-aging.
Oh my God, yes. Absolutely.
Is she one of your students?
No, I'm her student. Fantastic.
Go way back.
So is this something that we should incorporate as part of our...
Oh yes, vitamin drips are essential because of the American diet. Our colons, we really don't know what's being absorbed and not absorbed.
Wow.
And by getting it intravenously, you know it's going to go to the target organs, to the cells themselves.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, I get my Myers cocktail once a month. So people, if they want to get a Myers cocktail from you that are local here, you're in New York
City.
You're in New York City. How can they make contact with you?
Please just call me.
Call you.
I'm old-fashioned doctor. I answer my own phone.
And you still make house calls?
Yeah.
I know you made a house call today.
Yes.
Let's give that a hand. A doctor that still makes house calls.
Love that.
I'll tell you a story. My dad, I made house calls until I was 13. And to show you how things have changed, a house call then, including the house call, an antibiotic, or, there were only 20 medicines then, was $5. And
Wow.
Things have changed a lot.
Yeah, they
But,
sure have. Yeah. They're not $5 now.
No.
But when you look at it, Dr. Davidson, I mean, you've been a real great asset to the
thank you.
community here.
Yes.
And it's helping people too. What would you say about people, because that says like diabetes, when this first came out, they told those of you that's on HIV medication, make sure you stay on your medication. Then they told us that if you had diabetes, this could be areas of risk. What would you say to people that may be listening to us right now that may be having some of these type of compromised type of systems?
The issue is that the medication you're taking, let's take type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, they are only symptomatic relief. You don't urinate at night all the time, you don't have headaches, you don't have blurred visions. You can go to work, but the damage continues. The damage continues. If you go to your doctor and you said you have high blood pressure, he takes it, it's okay. He says, oh, you're doing fine. No, you're not. You're following the regime, but
Right.
the damage is going on. If you have diabetes, the doctor will come in and say, you need to be on a diet, you need to do this, you need to do exercise, and it's always mañana. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. But these things are lessening your life. When you have these diseases and you get into your 60s, you've retired, you've got a beautiful home, and you have a good pension or a savings, that's when it really hits you. That's when it hits you because the damage goes on. Your arteries are being clogged, your nerves are being affected, your mental health is being affected, the damage goes on. People ask about there are all type of diets out now, but I'll never forget, I applied for a license I got in North Carolina, and they had, they asked the doctors a question, they wanted to meet you, and the board asked me, well, what's the treatment for type 2 diabetes? And I said, diet and exercise. They all were like, whoa. They were blown away because that is the answer, diet and exercise.
Diet and exercise.
Diet and exercise are fundamental to being a healthy, productive human being. When you have a great diet and exercise, you're able to work at a higher level of efficiency for a longer period of time. That's where it comes in.
Well, the first time I've heard, when I was coming to you, I was getting blood work done. I was 248 pounds when I came to Dr. Davidson, and I got off the scale. I said, there's got to be a mistake, so I took my ring and watch off and got back on it. You remember that? Elder Melina, why you don't be laughing? I said, there's something wrong with the scale. I said, it's in the watch. I took my
The
watch.
belt.
And then I said, this can't be. I took the belt off, and I think at one point I said, let me take my pants off too.
Oh, God.
You know, and the scale moved maybe about 2 ounces. But the thing about it is that I looked at that, and that's when I said, okay, I'm going to have to get this weight off. And you know, Dr. Davidson said some real harsh things to me. He says, listen, he says, if you do not get this under control, and I was 50 years old, and this is like 12 years ago. He said, if you don't get this under control, you're not going to be around here long. He says, you're going to have stroke, you're going to have heart disease, you're going to have diabetes. And then I think at that time, my numbers was coming in as pre-diabetic. I'd never forget, I was seeing numbers like 100, 110. And my medical doctor would say, oh, you're okay.
Wow.
And Dr. Davis said, no, this is not good. You're on your way. And we worked on it. And I'm gonna tell you, it was work. It was work getting those numbers down. It was work getting the weight down. But it was also work in getting that blood, I never forget, that's how I learned about the A1C.
Hemoglobin A1C, right.
Yeah, I mean, that number really tells all. And that number was always like, it was over like, it was hit at one point like 6.1, you know, those type of numbers that you don't want your A1C at. And I didn't, but going to a regular doctor that says, oh, you're okay. You're doing good for your age.
Right.
But
This is what to be expected.
the anti-aging work that Dr. Davidson was doing, he was saying, this is not good, not for where you're headed. And so I had to work on getting the A1C down, and so that I get all of those out of those zones. What would you say to people about the importance of looking at your numbers?
Well, let's take your hemoglobin A1C, and what does that mean? The hemoglobin A1C is, if you get your blood sugar today, it might be normal or it might be high. Oh, it's normal today or it's a little high today. A1C looks at your blood sugar over 3 months. This is what's been happening on the average every 3 months. That's why it's such value. The number is an indication of the percentage of red blood cells. Red blood cells carry oxygen to the organs. The percentage of red blood cells that no longer are carrying oxygen but have a sugar molecule attached to them. That's hemoglobin A. Made simply, that's what hemoglobin A1C is.
Wow. So sugar could really be a real killer in our diet
Yes.
today. Elder Valina, what you say about, what think about that?
Sugar's the devil.
Sugar's the devil.
Got to stay
Not
away
good.
from it at all costs. And, you know, at the end of the day, every time you take that little packet and you start or putting it into your drink, you have to think about what does it look like down the road when you're in the when a person's in that bed and they have all those tubes and needles and doctors and the machines beeping. You're gonna be thinking about that. It's not worth
Well
it.
put.
But sugars is so many of our foods. I was surprised when I was listening to an audio about they were dealing with food, but they were talking about how all of a sudden, because you know Americans used to be skinny.
Yes.
There used to be the skinny. You know, it's like in school when we went to school, it was always there was always you picked on there was one fat kid in the class. And you went to school, right? Now today, it's one skinny person in the class. It's like it reversed.
Kids are huge.
Yeah, but when we all went to school, we were all thin. I mean, everybody in my class, I mean, I'm 62. Everyone was thin in the school. It was the bony girl, the bony boy, you know,
Right.
the long link, right? Now today, you go to the same classroom and said, what has happened? Where is it? You can't even find it. My grandson over there laughing. You can't even find the skinny kid no more in the classroom.
You have a kindergartner that weighs more than me.
Wow.
Okay, you.
Am I lying?
Oh no, that little kid. Every time I see him,
It's like,
and they say you can't say nothing. I was like, every time I see him, I was like, you need to get yourself together.
you can't say that.
But I'm not. It's terrible.
You can't say that.
But it's hard to watch because he can his breathing, and I have to walk him to class, and he's
Wow.
like, to get up the steps, he has to hold on to the rail, and it's
And like almost pull himself up.
yes.
Wow.
And he's a jovial little kid. He's a nice
No,
little
he's
boy.
bad.
No, he's
He's
not.
bad.
No,
He's spoiled.
He's spoiled.
he's well loved.
He's spoiled.
Spoiled.
Every day, no, he's well loved. He's every day. His mother and father walk him in, and they shower with kisses at the door, and they tell him how amazing he is, and you're gonna be great. And it's like, and he's just like, yeah, whatever.
Well loved.
But it's nice to see. You know, it's nice to see.
So, but the American diet, they started putting sugar in everything, fructose, corn syrup, all of this stuff.
Yes.
And this has definitely affected the whole health in our American diet.
You know, let's take a look. The love of sweets really is a protective mechanism that the body has. 300-400 years ago, 1,000, 2,000, there wasn't a Frigidaire. We didn't know how to store food. So when, for example, a bear came to a hive, he would get in there and eat all the honey for the famine that's going to come. Well, the body has not realized that there are no more famines. And when we eat something sweet, we want to eat more of it to protect us. The problem is that there's so much sugar in it in the form of high fructose corn syrup. Salt, fat, sugar, if you can get those three things in any product, you're going to make a fortune.
That's true.
Okay, say it again. We have some bacon out there. Salt,
Fat,
And
and sugar.
Wow.
You've got a home run there.
Ice cream.
And not the real salt, but chemical salts. The
white salt.
the chemicals such as salts like lemon salts, where you see garlic salt. These are chemicals. These aren't
Right.
these aren't real herbs. They're chemical herbs, and they retain 125 molecules of water. So when you take it, you're going to fill up with water. We're on this low salt kick. Oh, if we don't get salt, we're going to be. No, it's not the salt. The salt's not doing it. The body will get rid of it. It's these chemical salts.
Chemical salts.
Regular salts aren't going to hurt you. I see so many people. We need salt in order for electrical activity in our body. If you get too much of the real salt, the kidneys will take care of it. If you're exercising the way you should be, you're going to need the salt.
Yeah.
And you don't need a lot of it, but you need it for taste. But low salt just doesn't work because you feel that you're going to have good cardiovascular disease if you don't just take it. No, you're not going to have it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. It does not work that way.
So a person that's in their 50s, I think the average age of people that may be watching us today may be 50. What would you tell them that they should start doing now at 50 years of age?
First, walk. Start by walking. First, let's go over how to develop a fitness program.
Okay.
How do we start with that? And that's so important. You start teeny tiny. The turtle always beats the rabbit in a race. Go slow and steady. Start with walking. A 15 to 20 minute walk for someone who doesn't exercise is a big deal, trust me. And you do that every day for 5 days. On the 5th day, it becomes a habit, and if you stop it, you'll feel it. Just start walking, and you'll start walking longer and longer and longer. People who exercise always change their diet. Always. I used to be a really avid walker, and whenever I'd go somewhere, there were walking parks. Europe has these everywhere. And I'd ask someone, well, why'd you walk? He says, I had high blood pressure. I was a couch potato. I had high blood pressure. I had diabetes, and I started walking. And then I changed my diet. I hear that all the time. And then I changed my diet. And this is more true for women than men. I'll see someone in their 90s, spry, in great shape, maybe using a complicated Leica camera or something, and I'll say, how is it that you're in such good shape? Over and over and over I hear, walking has kept me alive.
Walking has kept me alive.
Over and over and over again. The one thing I recommend, get a good pair of walking shoes, and it will bring so many rewards. First of all, when you're out there walking, your mind is clear. It fights depression. It fights a mental health disease. Your heart works, your lungs work, your arteries open and close, and it fights arteriosclerosis. I'll never forget this story. It happened decades ago. There was a shop where my dad would take his car to be fixed. And I hadn't seen the owner. And I said, hey, what happened to you? He said, I had a heart attack. They wanted to do open heart surgery, and I don't recommend this. And there was a low-fat diet, then the Pritkin diet. He said, I did the Pritkin diet. Every day I get up and I'd walk as far as I could. The first day I could walk 12 inches. The next day 1.5 feet, then 2 feet. And slowly it built. And now I'm fine because the heart has a collateral circulation. There's a secondary circulation that'll open up if you start working and you change your diet. People who have cancer, people who walk have less cancer because your immune system is working better. Everyone here is developing cancer cells all the time, but our immune system is killing the cancer. Diet and exercise are foundational and they're non-negotiable. You go in and you want a business deal and the other person says it's non-negotiable.
Right.
Exercise is non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
I'm sorry, you were going to talk
No,
about me.
that's non-negotiable. So what you want to say, Oliver?
How many and I know it varies for different people, but on average, how many steps should we be having? Should we take it?
10,000. If we're going to start with steps, which is an excellent idea, you want to get up to 10,000 steps. That's the beginning. But the real value is when you go outside and start walking. Walking is addicting. Once you start walking and you have a good pair of shoes, you will walk in the cold, in the sun. You'll go inside to walk in malls.
It's true.
Aim for 7 days and you'll do 5. but you make it up in the way you feel, the way you look, what you can get done. People who are at their ideal weight are seen as affluent, intelligent, and in control. That may or may not be true, but
That's how it's viewed.
yeah. But people who exercise are a lot calmer, and especially when you get into your 80s and your 90s, it's crucial. You have a problem that's bothering you, you go out and walk. When you come back, you found the solution.
Wow. Well, listen, you've heard today from Dr. Davidson. You can get in touch with Dr. Arthur Davidson, and he's a doctor that still makes house calls, right? And for people that are out of the country or out of beyond New York, the tri-state area, what would you tell them to do to look up for doctors today?
Well, you can call me. I have people who are all over the country, patients all over the country. Call me directly. If it's something that I can't handle, or there are state regulations that prevent me from doing it, and we always follow the regulations of your particular state, then we can find somebody local for you.
Okay.
But I do Zoom interviews, and I treat many people who are outside the country. Some people come in for an initial consultation so that I can do a proper history, physical, blood work, and then we can work from there.
All right. So you can call Dr. Arthur Davidson. Give me your phone number.
917-647-9351. May I repeat that one time?
Sure.
Please, hold on.
917.
Do you have it, Elder Valina?
Not yet. I was looking at the 212-501-9064 number.
That number I don't use anymore.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
917
917
647
647
9351.
9351. And I even like the fact that you even help people with pain management.
Oh my God,
That's one of your specialties.
Oh yes, chronic pain. There is chronic pain that you've done everything you should. You've seen your doctor. You've gone to rehab. You've had surgery. You've had medication. Maybe you're on narcotics, and now you're at a number where the doctor, because of rules and regulations, which I believe in, they don't feel giving you any more. So you're discharged. These are the people that I want to see. We use as a drug called ketamine. It is. Do I have a few minutes to talk about it?
Sure, talk about it.
Ketamine has been with us since 1970. The FDA approved it for use in hospitals as a general anesthetic. It first saw its big application during the Vietnam War, where it was called the buddy drug. Your buddy in battle had a vial of ketamine with a needle. If you were injured and you were in pain, you were bleeding, you were extremely anxious, he just took it and gave you the shot.
Okay.
Sorry to hit you there.
No, it's fine.
And it allowed the pain to be taken care of. It supported your blood pressure, and also you weren't anxious anymore. So you could help in your evacuation from the battlefield. As a result of this, 50% more soldiers survived the trip from the battlefield to the field hospital because of ketamine.
Okay.
I was trained to use it in my residency. I was fortunate that there was a nurse anesthetist who had been a medic in the Vietnam War who really taught me a lot about ketamine. So people with chronic pain, ketamine is a godsend. It is a godsend. A lot of chronic pain is what we call hyperanesthesia. The pain is out of proportion to the injury. Ketamine works beautifully for this. Beautifully for this. What it does is we either use it intravenously or orally or nasally. I can talk about a patient I had. A patient came to me who had rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease. And he'd done everything he could. He was in so much pain, he just was at home in his chair, He slept in his chair. He didn't do anything else. He came to me and we tried some standards of care, which were incomplete. They'd work for a while, tolerance would develop. So I said, why don't we switch to ketamine? And that's when we hit home runs. Within 2 days to a week, his pain was in control, but it did more than that. When you are in pain, you have severe depression, anxiety, and some PTSD. I didn't know he also had severe OCD. So one day we were talking, he said, Dr. Davidson, my OCD, my obsessive compulsive disorder, is under control as well. And that's the beauty of ketamine. It just doesn't take care of the pain, but the associated mental health conditions that come with it. Not one, but it can handle a multiple of them at one time. I have patients today who come to me. They've done everything they should. These are reasonable, respected patients, and within a very short period of time, the ketamine has helped them. You know, there's also two other sides to this. It is a party drug, but the doses they're taking.
No. What is a party drug?
You'd go to a club and you'd use a drug to get a psychedelic experience. This is not healthy.
Okay.
The medical protocols, the psychedelic experience is not part of it. When you are taking ketamine prescribed as it should be, you're not looking for that. You're looking for pain relief. And this is where it works, at medical protocols. Okay,
so this, I don't know. We didn't party. We skipped that part of our life. But Legs over here is smiling.
I've never taken ketamine.
But you're gonna go see the doctor this week. Okay.
Dr. Davis, before you leave, tell them also about ketamine, how it have helped people that have had addictions.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's very good for alcohol and substance abuse.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a small practice where I treat patients with addiction who are tired of being addicts, either alcohol or drugs, and they want a path out. This group, I can either take them off the drugs, but what I do is I use IV ketamine infusions and then oral ketamine between sessions to maintain the effect, and I'm having tremendous results with that.
Really? Yeah. So this could be another pathway for people to get off of drugs.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And this type of work, I'm not in my office doing something. There's a medical society. It is what we call an off-label use of the drug. There are pharmacies that are making it. There is ketamine, S-ketamine, which is a prescription very nasal medication, very expensive. Harvard, Yale, Columbia, they're using it. It's now accepted as an off-label use, but it does amazing work. Let me just mention also for depression, bipolar, PTSD, anxiety, the beauty of this drug is it works right away by healing your brain. It works immediately. If you're someone who is suicidal, it stops these suicidal feelings and ideations. We cannot use the word cure or a miracle, but I tell you, my patients are very happy with their results.
All right.
Yeah.
Dr. Davidson, let's give him another hand, and thank you so much for tuning in. And stay tuned as we go out, and then we're going to come right back to you after these announcements.
To keep in touch with Master Prophet E. Bernard Jordan, go to www.bishopjordan.com and follow him on all social media platforms. To get more information about the Prophecology Conference and or more special events, go to www.zoeministries.com or call 888-831-0434. Thank you and stay blessed.